Hello everyone and welcome along to Racing Local, supporting local businesses right across New Zealand thanks to our partners at SOS Business and putting on some great viewing as well to itch that motorsport scratch. After 2 weeks of prototypes and speedway action, we are changing it up for week 3, but it should be just as exciting as our first fortnight of racing. The coverage is being brought to you live, the Global SimRacing Channel, with highlights being shown on CRC Motorsport on TV3. My name is Ryan Jones, and I'm proud to have Greg Rust and Steve Daniel alongside me for this evening. And the solitary man doing the role of the many behind the scenes is Sean Ambrose, using the cameras created by Dougie Beard. And it's important to remind you all of why we are doing this as the New Zealand motorsport community comes together to give back to those small businesses that have helped them, Rusty, over their careers.
Ryan, Steve, good evening to both of you. If only I could smile like Steve in that fantastic shot. Welcome everybody, wherever you're watching, right around the world. This is a great concept. We're at the midpoint of 4 weeks of competition. So far, we've raised $24,000 by working with SOS Cafe to shine a light on some small to medium-sized businesses here in New Zealand that need some support right now as we gradually come out of isolation and get back to business from the COVID crisis. So we've switched, if you like, the hats, because over time the races have been supported by these small to medium-sized businesses while they've been climbing the path. Now these drivers are back home in New Zealand and they're wanting to help these small to medium-sized businesses. $24,000 has been raised so far. Wouldn't it be wonderful to think that we could reach maybe 50,000 at the end of the 4 weeks?
Certainly is a good thought. And Steve, I'm really pumped for the combos we've got tonight, throwing out the window what the drivers were used to after the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, thanks Ryan, thank you Rusty. The last 2 weeks we've raced at Knoxville and Eldora speedways, as well as the Dead Heat race at Daytona Road Race, before moving to Road America week 2. This week we're changing it up, a switch from dirt track ovals to the Wild West Motorsport Park in the off-road Pro 4 trucks. From there, we're off to the Michigan International Speedway Racing, the Dallara DW12 Indy cars. Tonight's race is sponsored by JWL Investments and Allport Gaming.
Along with that change to the cars, Rusty, we're also seeing a slight tweak to some of the rulings and the actual race format.
And Ryan, yes, that's a good point that you make. We start on the dirt for the first time tonight. So some off-road action to begin with. These trucks are phenomenal. We'll go through a series of practice and qualifying, 5 minutes of qualifying in fact. The drivers will be alone on the track, just 2 laps, and then a sequence of heats. 4 laps, 15 drivers. The top 4 from those heats will advance to the feature. There is a C main, like the speedway events we've been doing in recent weeks. The top guys that will transfer through from the C main, which is a 6 lap, is the top 5, and then the B main, it's the same scenario. You whittle it down to a 14 lap main event feature. 20 minutes, 22 drivers, possibility of a safety car, and then we switch to oval racing. The Magic IndyCar, the Dallara, the DW12, 5 minutes or 3 laps of qualifying alone on track, and then when we go racing, 45 laps or 35 minutes, 43 drivers, compulsory pit stop thrown in. It's going to be phenomenal. Whatever you do, get on board and support if you can. Go to the Racing Local Facebook page, give a little if you can, and let's get behind these Kiwi drivers. Some of the best in the business, as you both know, are taking part again tonight.
Most certainly they are. And of course doing this for charity, but the drivers out there still want to have some fun and enjoy some hard, clean racing, and as such, there's a driver's briefing. In a moment, we're going to have a chance to listen in when they get up and running for that driver's briefing, as the track is closed now and everyone makes their way back to the virtual pit lane. We'll just wait till everyone brings it down to pit road, and we'll take you down to our driver's briefing, which is live now.
top 5 will go through to the B main before we get into an 8-lap B main race. Then from there, the remainder of the grid will be filled with 18 cars to take the feature race. We'll have a 2-minute warm-up session in between the B main and the feature, but if need be, we will shorten that, and we will keep you guys up to date as we get to the feature. 14 laps for this one in the A main. If you roll upside down and you are on your lid, please escape immediately. That is your race done. Will not allow you back on the racetrack. The yellows are manually controlled by us, and they do count towards the total laps. We'll only throw a yellow if we absolutely deem it necessary. Other than that, good luck everybody, and go out there and have fun. I'll pass you now to Kenley, and he will just run through a couple of things.
Yeah, good evening everyone. Welcome to week 3 of the Racing Local series. This is basically going to be the same as every other week. You'll know the drill. You all know how to race clean. In this class, rubbing is sort of a bit of racing. You know, it happens, it's part of it, but don't be silly about it. There will be zero tolerance if you deliberately take out another car. If you don't readdress a contact where, say, you spin the other guy out or anything like that, we will be giving you a penalty. With the penalties tonight, we will come over comms, call your race number and tell you what it was for. If we see any intentional wrecking, driving the wrong way, or reckless driving, you will be removed from the race. Once again, drivers' connections will be monitored closely tonight. If you're blinking, you'll be given a warning, and you must try and fix it. If it gets too bad and you're in a group and there is that possibility that you'll just cause a wreck, we will have to DQ you from that race, but you can go and sort it out and rejoin for the feature. iRacing voice chat will be used for black flag clears only. If you need that, just ask from us, but all other communications will be one way from race control to you. And that's going to sort of be about it from me. So just remember, there's a lot of people watching online, so try and keep it clear. As I say, there shouldn't be any voice chat or anything, so that's fine. And yeah, with that, let's have some fun, enjoy yourself. Let's go racing for a good cause. Good luck, everyone.
Alrighty. Well, let's get ready for some twists, some turns, some ups and downs, and lots of jumps here at Wild West Motorsport Park. Getting ready to go to qualifying now. It'll be 2 laps these drivers get to complete around this circuit to set their place. The top few drivers will get their spot booked for the feature. The rest are going to have to race their way through the heats, the C's, the B's.
Ryan, it's a great little natural sort of amphitheatre, this, isn't it? And you'll watch a few techniques as well from the drivers too. I mean, they'll be hard on the gas, those magic-sounding V8s, trying to get as much traction as possible off the corners, as much air as possible at times. And they'll do little things just to try and ensure that that nose doesn't dip or nosedive as they go over the jumps, or point at the sky either. They want to try and make it as smooth an application as possible. But I think, as you heard in the driver's briefing there, a little bit of Rubbins racing. We can look forward to that.
It certainly is, and they've got to get it out of their system now, Steve, before we go open wheel racing just after this. But right now, all their focus is on this track. All dirt, which means you're going to be sideways for most of the lap. You've got to make sure you hit those jumps straight, otherwise it's going to be very easy to roll up onto your lid. And qualifying towards the front for the heat races is going to be extremely important.
We've certainly seen the talent of a lot of these drivers that are out here on track, not just on real racetracks out in the world, but out in this iRacing format. And it's tight and it's fast. One of the things I noted, zero tolerance for intentional contact, so you will be booted. And the other thing I noticed about this track is we did that beautiful flyover it looks very, very much the same in the actual layout of the track, the original Bay Park circuit in Tauranga, the old circuit track that was there. So for me, certainly bringing back a few memories and shape.
Yeah, most certainly is, but it's very unique. It was only introduced to the iRacing service a few months ago, along with the introduction of these Pro 4, Pro 2 trucks, and also a Pro 2 light truck, 3 variations of this car were introduced all at the same time. This is the fastest, the most difficult to drive of the 3. 4-wheel drive, lots of horsepower, lots of airtime, and as we see Connor Adam complete his first lap, looks like he is going to set the gauntlet for the drivers with a 51.445.
Tips it in nicely into the left-hander. It's got nice attitude, and we probably need to highlight as well, Ryan, don't we, the fact that the organisers have gone with a fixed setup. So for competitors, that's a good leveller for the game here, considering all the various disciplines of motorsport that people have come to participate in. So Brendan Hartley currently position 3. Will Bamber, who we spoke to just prior to coming on air tonight, doing a great job with a 51.282 so far. Liam Lawson is in the top 10. If you didn't see last week's action, it was a fantastic night for Shane Van Gisbergen, whether it was at the wheel of the late model at the end of the coverage or earlier in the night when we were driving at Road America in some sports cars, and it was on the eve of his birthday. So a perfect outing on Racing Local last Friday night.
Certainly was. We've seen some fantastic action. We're really changing it up this week, but I think it's going to stay pretty much the same. Matt Stevens, look at that airtime. Front end lifting up towards the sky like a plane taking off. He comes crashing back down to earth and continues on his way. The suspension on these trucks is to be envied, I think, because they can take a massive pounding, Steve.
Yeah, they certainly can. We can see Aaron Humble, fastest at the moment. Huge suspension travel. Lots of very expensive shocks on each of those corners, aren't there? It's going to be a great night. Seeing the difference between a lot of these drivers. We've got people representing Speedway. We've got, of course, New Zealand Grand Prix winners, Le Mans winners, V8 Supercar drivers. But there's one missing. There's one that isn't here tonight.
Yeah, Scott McLaughlin. Unfortunately, prior commitments can't make it today, and go ahead, Rusty.
And I was just going to add to that, it's a good point that you make. So Shane Van Gisbergen, we thought, may not be taking part as well, Ryan. He is in tonight. A late scratching, as you rightly point out, for Scott McLaughlin. And I've just had some news from Greg Murphy. He's had some dramas at his end. Technically, I'm not sure what's happened, but it appears that he's locked out of the event at the moment. So hoping that we can get the 4-time Bathurst winner back in the game, literally, at some point.
You spent long enough trying to help him get it set up before we went live, didn't you, Rusty?
I went over and he runs one of the Motion Force 1 simulators. It's not his, as we discussed in last week's coverage, Ryan, but it's wonderful that he can have access to that for this, and he's been at the wheel during the week and trying to get a bit more up to speed, given how sharp the likes of Liam Lawson, Scott McLaughlin and Shane Van Gisbergen are in that area.
Another driver we haven't seen the first week was Chris Pithy. You just saw him there. He's back in the 30s at the moment. Good to see him out there having a crack today. There's Mad Mike Wedette, although, with a caveat, it could be Lincoln Wedette at the wheel.
Well, he's absolutely backing it in. So Mikey's one of the greatest when it comes to reverse entries. So it might have been Mikey under Mad Mike Wedette behind the wheel of that. So if it is, a big shout out to Tony, to Jet, and to Lincoln. But if it's Lincoln sneaking into Dad's sim, then a big shout out to Mikey, Tony, and Jet.
Jackson Lovelady, currently 28th fastest, and as qualifying concludes, we head into our first of 3 heats. 14 drivers for heat number 1. The top 4 will get a spot straight in the feature. Everyone else is going to have to line up in the C or the B main to try and transfer forwards. This is how they will line up. Aaron Humble will be off the pole. Liam Lawson next to him. Hayden Patton and Bryce Harding on row 2. Brendan Partridge and Callum Quinn on row 3. Simon Evans and James Watson starting 7th and 8th ahead of Shannon Connor. Jackson Lovelady, your top 10. Giltrap, Freeman, Pither, Wedette, Davison. Wedette, your last car of the 14. We've got a very short gridding period here, fellas. Once they're all there on the grid, we'll go racing. The revs will rise down here on this front straight at Wild West Motorsports Park. It's an uphill run down to turn, or up to turn number 1, I should say, before they have to back it into the corner and get it hooked around. The revs rise for the drivers for the first time today in week 3 of Racing Local. We are gonna go racing as the green flag flies, and away we go, and a very even start from your top 2.
Don't forget, only the top 4 transfer, but they transfer straight to the feature, and this is a bit of a speedway style format. Once we get through the heat competition, we've got a C main, a B main, and then a 14-lap main event feature at this Wild West venue.
Whereas Aaron Humble that leads the way at the moment. Liam Lawson, though, in behind. Hayden Patton, the rally superstar, certainly finding it at home right now as he drops down a position. Bryce Harding moving up into 3rd place.
Good to see Patton back towards the front of the field. We've been missing him over the first 2 weeks, but finding his home, as you said here, Steve, on the dirt. There was lefts and rights. Of course, former competitor in the World Rally Championship, and as he navigates his way back up to 3rd there at the inside of the final corner as they dive and jump their way down the main straight to complete lap number 1 of just 4 laps for this heat.
It's a different beast, isn't it, Ryan? But he is very at home in many respects in this sort of environment. Patton Rally Sport, of course, run out of Highlands Motorsport Park. They've been developing the world's first rally electric car down there.
We had a car go upside down coming out of that last turn. I guess
speaking of upside down.
Bang crash, smash, up and over. No cautions, I believe, in the heat races. So a lot of work to do coming back.
That was Brendan Partridge. He landed on all 4 wheels, and so robust these cars are, he keeps on going out there. But he now finds himself in 5th place and not with a transfer spot at the moment.
So it's still Aaron Humble that leads the way from Liam Lawson, Hayden Patton, and Bryce Harding sitting in 4th place. Those are the 4 going through at the moment. Fastest lap, Aaron Humble from the front. 2 laps to go.
Shout out once again to young Marco Giltrap in the top 10, boys. We saw him doing that last week, a Carter here in New Zealand, and very much a part of the Giltrap family, of course. Giltrap Group, again, our backer right across the 4 weeks of this series, and we're very grateful for that. But young Marco doing a good job in the 10.
Certainly is. Lawson is not letting Aaron Humble get away, but as I say that, they actually form a bit of a gap. Humble's doing a phenomenal job to keep Lawson at bay here. The gap between them, about 0.8 of a second. So come out of that final corner. So they're going to see that white flag out in the air now. So 1 more lap here at Wild West to conclude our first race of the evening, heat 1 of 3, before we head into the C, the B, and the A main, before we go IndyCar racing after all this. Plenty of action tonight. We're only just getting started. It looks like your top 4 may be comfortable at this point, Steve.
Yeah, JWL Investments bringing you the Pro 4 trucks with Azza Humble racing away. Still only a 0.5 second gap between himself and Liam Lawson. Lawson trying to close up the gap. They're going to have one big sweeping corner after they take the big jumps, firing down this big straight here.
Let's see if he fires it in and goes for a big lunge at the final opportunity. He does throw it in, but he's not quite close enough. And that means out front, our first victor of the evening. Aaron Humble's going to come across the line and take out heat number 1 from Wild West in the Pro 4 trucks. Lawson 2nd, Patton 3rd, Bryce Harding 4th. They're your 4 drivers that go straight through to our feature.
Just spend a moment, I guess, and say well done to Liam Lawson. When we look back, this is week 3 of 4. Hasn't he performed superbly in just about any kind of car in this sim racing environment? You know, he hasn't always had the results go his way, but he's been strong in the 2 weeks so far, hasn't he?
Yeah, Liam Lawson's been on fire. We saw 0.0008, I think, of a second gap at Daytona a couple of weeks ago. There was Shane Van Gisberg and of course, Scotty Mack up front, and he just hasn't looked back. This kid can definitely pedal a race car, and he's equally at home behind the wheel of a sim.
Oh, he certainly is. All right, heat 2. The gridding up now, your lineup for this: Will Bamber, Brendan Hartley on the front row, Sam Dunstall and Reed Harker on row 2, Mitch Evans, Taylor Cockerdon 5th and 6th, Chris Vanderdrift and Daniel Stevens from the 4th row. They've all gridded up. You can look to your leaderboard on the left to see where everyone is because the green flag is going to fly. And we're racing for heat number 2, racing local to support local businesses. And that's a very congested start for the field. There'll be 3 wide, deep in the pack, and contact. That could be drama, and it is. Cars around on the inside. They just about keep going as someone rolls in the background.
Well, Will Bamber certainly leads the way nicely, but yeah, huge contact further back, Rusty.
Oh, and more drama, huge drama down at turn 2. Up and over went someone else as they all checked up and got into each other.
That was Matt Stevens dropping back.
It was. Big shame for him. He's been doing a good job over the last couple of weeks. He's going to have to fight back, though, on this one.
Steve, you've been using that term, that speedway term about slide job city and things like that, but the drivers here are absolutely trying to bomb those cars in up the inside, aren't they, in those early laps, those first few corners.
Certainly not looking back as we ride on board with Brendan Hartley. Brendan Hartley sporting that beautiful Red Bull livery. They've changed up the cars, and obviously even Hartley trying to go and get the awards for the best looking car tonight. Inside pass for Hartley on Harker, gets it done too. Slides across the nose, takes position as he fires it down into the next right-hander.
That was a great move. Harker made a slight mistake and ran wide on the entry, which opened it up very nicely for Brendan Hartley, and Harker now occupies P3. There's a very good battle for the final transfer spot going on behind them. Mitch Evans currently has that 4th spot, but Sam Dunstall, Chris Vanderdrift are all over the back of him as they head down towards the final corner now. Bit of contact from Dunstall at the back of Evans, pushes it a bit wide, but he gets a good exit nonetheless. It's very easy to lose time over these jumps, so once you go onto the straight, it's still not a sewed-up done deal until the next corner, Rusty.
No, exactly. I mean, we were riding with Liam Lawson, I think, in that previous race, and it was just fluid. It was nice, but you get enticed in these situations when you're closing in on the competitors up in front of you. You can sense, can you find a way past Dunstall? It was aggressive, wasn't it?
They're 3 wide now, and this could be... They just about kept it straight. I thought Dunstall was going to get squeezed into the fence then by Vanderdrift, who picked up 2 spots in that corner and now finds himself in the coveted 4th place. Dunstall somehow still in the middle of these 3, and Evans has gone right to the back of them. They're going to see the white flag this time by... Oi! Look at that from Evans. Absolutely spears the side of Vanderdrift.
And I think that's good for Dunstall, isn't it? Is that the final transfer spot? He's up into 4th, maybe?
No, he's still 5th now. Evans is 4th, okay. Dunstall's back to 5th.
Well, Will Bamber is at the front, leading the way from Brendan Hartley Harker, but the battle is for 4th place. That is the car that goes, the last car that's going to go through into the A-main, and it's Mitch Evans versus Dunstall at the moment.
Evans is wide there. That's going to hurt him, but he gets a good exit as a result. He was able to straighten the car up, get on the throttle earlier. Dunstall slides it in, gets into his left door. Here we go. Oh no, Dunstall's been black flagged. We've just seen it pop up on race control, which means Evans should have this one as they make more contact. Dunstall's still going to attack as hard as he can, as out front, Will Bamber will take the checkered flag for heat number 2. And behind them, Sam Dunstall takes 4th as Evans slaps the fence. Here comes Sam Waddell, beating and banging to the line. Who got it? Waddell got him. He got him by nothing. Again, 0.000 between them.
Upside down, that's the way to finish it. Great race with Will Bamber taking the win from Brendan Hartley, Harker, and from there we went on to Dunstall and Waddell, I think it was, but what a great race. Interesting, I spoke to Brendan Hartley, we spoke to Brendan Hartley earlier on. He said that he learned how to drive a car at Will Bamber's farm in Wanganui many, many years ago in a Toyota Hilux back in the day, very similar to the trucks that they're racing out there on track today.
Certainly is. Pretty cool. Should just quickly mention, sorry Rusty, Dunstall and Evans, both black flags, so they both drop down and will have to go through the C and B main. So Bamber, Hartley, Harker, and Waddell are the 4 that advanced.
And Steve mentioned in the early part of the commentary there about the fact that there are best presented awards, and we also have a hard luck award each week in this series. But what about the paint scheme on Will Bamber's car there, tipping its hat to Will Ferrell with the mighty Cougar on the car, the me look.
Here we go, Heat 3, getting ready to go green. This is the final heat. This will set the field for your mains. Revs rise, red lights are on, waiting on that green flag here at Wild West Motorsports Park under the Lucas Oil sign. We take the green and go racing for the third time today. Good start for Van Gisbergen. Corner Adams going to try to cover off Tom Alexander down up turn number 1. But Alexander gets to his inside, climbs the inside fence, and gets by him.
Already a huge gap between first and second place. Shane Van Gisbergen certainly knowing his way around this Wild West track as we see the 32 sliding down the inside. It's Adam taking advantage as he closes the door on Tom Alexander.
First couple of weeks have been tough for Andrew Waite, but he's made a good job of the start here. He's up into position number 8. Driver coach, of course, for Tony Quinn's Highland Motorsport Park down there at Cromwell, and at one point drove the Steve Horn-owned V8 Super Tourer. The guy who's had some experience in Asia as well. Nice performance at the moment. Week 3, maybe more to his liking, in position 8.
Someone's just suggested in the Facebook chat that we should have a best rollover award this week. You know what? I think they're probably right. Chris Allen with that gem. Thank you for that. You know, I'm going to keep my eye out now and probably have a look for the best rollover of the day.
Chris Allen, one of the hardest hitting superstock drivers in New Zealand speedway history. He'll certainly know how to put a car upside down on its roof. But the position we're watching right now is Earl Bamber and Tom Blomqvist. That is the spot, 4th place. Those cars in front will all go through into the A main. So Blomqvist, a bit of work to do. He's about 0.8 of a second behind. He's dropped back. It's now Northway's job to get up into 4th.
Nice performance by Tom Alexander, currently sitting in P3, current Super Ute champion in Australia, known for the work that he does with Kenny Smith as well, driven many things over time, including F5000.
Formula 5000, F5000, big V8s, open wheelers, and lots of downforce. Can't get a lot better than that. Shane Van Gisbergen still leads the way up the front. We've got Adam behind from Alexander, and Bamber still holding on to the 4th position. I'm loving seeing that that Toyota racing scheme, the retro one that Hartley and Co are running tonight, looking very fancy out there. Harking back to the OGs.
Most certainly. Bamber's got a nice margin now, back to Tom Blomqvist in 5th and Chemily in 6th. These guys have spread themselves out a bit over the course of this race, which makes things a little bit comfortable for your leading quadruple drivers. Is that the word? Who knows? Van Gisbergen then is going to take the white flag for heat number 3. And just as we always see in sim racing, he just seems to dominate everything he drives. Through turn number 1, it's closing up for 3rd place. Tom Alexander coming under pressure from Earl Bamber.
Just noticing Ryan a little further down the order behind Andrew Wade. In fact, Greg Murphy. So maybe those Wi-Fi issues or whatever's going on.
He's clipped the inside fence, propped it up on 2 wheels, and over he's gone up onto his lid. But out front, no such dramas for Shane Van Gisbergen. Wow, that might be the best rollover. Out of the final corner, Shane Van Gisbergen with a nice handy margin back to Connor Adam. He's going to jump his way across the start-finish line, take out heat number 3 from Wild West. Connor Adam 2nd, Earl Bamber 3rd, Tom Blomqvist with the final transfer spot in 4th.
And these guys have been practicing the exit of the track. Be interesting to see if they'd like to try it in the real world. Fantastic race we just seen, and that big rollover. Poor old Tom Alexander holding position, and now is going to have a lot of work to do coming through the C or the B main.
And a slight tweak to our format of the C and B main, Steve. We've seen in the first few weeks with the speedways that drivers who do well on the C main go straight through to the feature. Not the case today.
No, that's right. So the C main's going to be over 6 laps, 18 drivers. Top 5 will transfer to the back of the B main. So very much, very similar to what we see in the speedway world. From there, we move on to the B main. That's going to see us 8 laps, 18 drivers, and the top 10 that go through will make their way through to the feature. Feature race, 14 laps or 20 minutes, 22 drivers, and a potential safety car.
Look at the lineup here for this one, for the C.
Yeah.
We've got Marco Giltrap on the inside of row number 1 with Cockerton on the outside. Levisage on the second row with
green.
O'Connor. Drever and Hermanson. We're yellow at the moment. 6 laps of distance. Ready to go green.
The flag flies, even start from your top 4. Look at that, they're going to be 2 by 2 on approach to turn number 1. Cockledon sets himself up high to try and avoid the drama behind as someone climbs the fence on the inside. Remarkably, they all make it through. Touch wood.
Great start, Christian Hermansen, who's been involved in the organisation and admin of this series, up into position number 4. Good battle up in front. Marco Giltrap holding his own.
Marco Gilstrap, sensational job up front with Cockerton in behind, and O'Connor. Hermansen, though, sitting in 4th place. Only a handful of these cars will go through at the moment. Mad Mike Waddett in the 1-2-3 racing the rotary out there, and he is in the bump position.
Mad Mike Waddett was completely sideways coming off one of those jumps. He is throwing that thing around to the back of this big train for transfer spots to the B main as they dive up to turn 2. There's contact, and that sends O'Connor sideways. It sends another car up and over onto his roof. There's 4 wide on the exit. Mad Mike Waddett, or Lincoln Waddett, we'll say, props up and finds himself in 3rd.
Well, he backs it and whips on the hydro. Yeah, let's go the Murph. Now, the fifth position is the position we want to see at the moment. That is the one that's going to transfer you through into the B main. So hold on to it, Murph. We want to see you rise up the leaderboard tonight.
Riding with Murphy now. Mentioned to you earlier in the coverage, he's using the Motion Force 1 simulator. And that's a product that a couple of major racing outfits use. In fact, Andy McElray on the Gold Coast, McElray Racing, have a setup like that, which is good. Nice tight line as he tries to chase down Mad Mike Waddett and Evans.
Well, Mitchell Evans just posting the fastest lap of the race last race as we see another car. I think they're absolutely backing it in. It's Hermansen who leads away from Giltrap. So 1 place drop and a couple of cars up on their side, back down on their feet. Where do you watch tonight?
Let's keep our eyes on the battle for 2nd here as Hermansen gaps him. And Waddett goes to 2nd. A bit of contact, almost turned towards the outside of the track by Giltrap, who now goes back to 3rd. Look at Waddett throw it into the corner, almost rolling it as he backs it in. About as reverse entry as you'll ever see here at Wild West. This is wild indeed. And now look out, because here comes Mitch Evans.
Well, Evans flying, Mad Mike Waddett. That is exactly how he drifts. He's one of the most well-known names in the world of motorsport for drifting, and absolutely throwing it around, enjoying being in the Pro 4 cars tonight.
Looking at this, I've got to say, it's got to be Mad Mike, not Lincoln, because that is some sick slides he's pulling off at the moment.
I've seen Lincoln racing, and I tell you what, they're both the same, father and son. He'll be trying to get on the back end of the battle for 1st position, but Hermansen still leads the way with 3 to go.
Greg Murphy is up into 4th place now after figuring out those issues he had earlier on. You mentioned Rusty's looking like he might be touchwood with a spot of getting to the B main. Remember, the top 5 will advance. Marco Giltrap has fallen back to that 5th place spot now, but he's got a margin. He's got a slight margin of 1.6 seconds back to Cockledon, Rusty.
No, you're right. I was just going to say he had a tough, really, couple of weeks, hasn't he, Greg Murphy? So this is a little bit of sugar for him. Up into P4, enjoying the variety of competition. Week 3 of Racing Local. Hermansen leads the way from Mad Mike Waddett, Mitch Evans, and Greg Murphy rounds out the 4.
Here comes Evans on Waddett. He is harassing the back bumper of that Pro 4 truck as they slide their way out of the corner, down the back straight away. Not quite close enough, and check this out. Check this from Waddett. He hooks it in to the turn before he throws it over the jump. It is crazy.
Mad Mike, he looks at home. It's like he does exactly the same thing at his local track, Hampton Downs, throwing it in the Rad Bull, the Mad Bull, the Sad Bull, and every other bull he's got out there. Normally behind the wheel of a 13B turbocharged Stadium monster truck with that Mazda Red Bull livery. Oh, he's opened the door, and it's going to be Evans who sneaks through. Mad Mike, what can he throw back at him?
Could you get 2 guys from 2 very different disciplines? A successful Formula E racer up against a champion drifter. And here they are, battling it out. Evans is doing a job.
Yeah,
Mikey chucked in the slider. This is the final lap.
It is. Hermanson's got a big margin. We'll try and watch these guys for as long as we can. Look for the massive reverse entry from Wedette on the inside. He checks it up a bit, knowing Evans is out there. Out front, Hermanson's going to take the checkered flag on the C-Main. They're door-to-door for second place behind. They're both out of control, almost over the jumps. Who gets it at the line? That is close. It's Wedette. Wedette got him by about 100th of a second.
Brilliant racing. It just keeps getting better each week. Racing local, doesn't it? And well done to the 28-year-old Christian Hermanson. Mini sprints has been his game, but he was very solid from the start of this one and takes the win.
How many photo finishes are we going to get tonight? 2 from 4 races.
All of them. We're going to get all of them.
Truly crazy stuff, isn't it?
A huge
and
thank
just
you to
like that. Keep going, Steve.
And a huge thank you to JWL Investments taking care of the sponsorship for the Pro 4 trucks tonight. A couple of races ahead of us. We've got a huge number of amazing sponsors. Girl Trap Group, SOS Business, Toyco.co.nz, Cream Insurance, Gary Douglas Limited. Of course, Wade Collision Repairs, Toyota Gazoo Racing New Zealand, Red Bull, and Garage 16, all behind Racing Local.
Just like that, we're getting ready for the B main. Off the front row, it's Partridge and Stevens. Some of the other names in this B main are Vanderdrift, Jackson Evans, Heimgartner, Simon Evans. Remember those guys that advanced were Det, Hermanson, Mitch Evans, Greg Murphy, Taylor Cockerton. They're all at the back. Let's see if they can come through as the green flag flies on the B main. And Brendan Partridge, not a good launch. Stevens cleans him up immediately. Down up to turn number 1. And let's see behind as a big slide from Keegan Chamerly. That is an absolute mess up at the first corner.
Well, Daniel Stevens, great to be at the pointy end as we see cars flying all over the track further back. Stevens leads from Partridge, and you can see here's Matt Stevens as well coming through. We've got another car on its side further back.
Stevens puts himself up into 5th. Jackson Lovelady falls back to 6th. Callum Quinn. Christian Hermanson's up into 7th place, or 8th place now. After starting from the back, Mitch Evans has followed him through. Wedette, Greg Murphy are all there as well. And Wedette still doing the old reverse entry to these corners. The top 10 are going to transfer through to the feature here.
And so Ryan, I think they just want the action up in front to go south a little bit, because if they stay in touch with each other, Evans, Wedette and Murphy, they'll be strong as this continues to unfold. But it's a nice job by Stevens leading the way at the moment, albeit by a very slender margin.
Yeah, Daniel Stevens trying to fend off Partridge. Matt Stevens is in the thick of it for 4th place as well. It's still Stevens though. Partridge is working him over, but he is holding tough, the sim racer at the moment up front. This is fantastic to see from a iRacer's perspective, to see our guy flying the flag up the front like he did last week as well. Partridge trying to find a way through here. This is a 8-lap race.
So it's 8 laps of distance, but of course the top 10 going through into the A main. And in 10th place, it's Cockerton in front. Greg Murphy's inside the bubble. So is Mad Mike Wedette as we move further forward. Mitch Evans, Christian Hermanson sitting in 6th. Jackson Lovelady in 5th, and then it's Stevens, Vanderdrift, Partridge, and then Daniel Stevens leading the way up the front, the sim racer. He hasn't done a lot of racing in real life, but he's certainly done a lot of sim racing. Father, though, raced in the Spring Speedway for many, many years.
They're still side by side for the lead. Still, Partridge can't make it work. Jackson Lovelady's trying to hold on to 5th place. He's got Mitch Evans and Hermanson side by side behind and trying to find a way through. And Evans just got a great exit, but he had nowhere to go. As on board with Stevens as he tried to fend off Partridge. And here we go. 3 cars all sliding into the final corner. Hermanson pops out in front, and that's Evans at the back of him. Wedette back there as well, up in 8th place at the moment. As Evans, we go for a lunge up here at turn 2. He does. He gets into the side of Lovelady, though, sends him out into the fence. He rejoins just in front or behind Wedette.
So Jackson Lovelady
Murphy. Murphy got turned around up at that corner as well, so he's dropped down the order.
Murphy dropped back to 12th position. So it's Wadette sitting in 7th. We're riding on board with Lovelady. Lovelady, a super saloon driver out of Christchurch, New Zealand. Look at Mad Mike. Has he got the car pointed the right way? Yes, he does, as he powers back out of it. Mad Mike Wadette putting on a show tonight.
Steve, you know from drifting, they can do some amazing things backing those cars in at big speed. This is a very different kind of racing. We know the family loves it, but man, he is backing it in with just complete faith, absolute full commitment, isn't he?
Well, if you ever want to see something spectacular, you've got to check out Mad Mike reverse entry anywhere, because I've never seen anyone do it like Mad Mike does. Super Sixes, you have to look those up as well. But we're riding on board Mad Mike Wadette, of course, the Formula Drift Japan champion 2018, I think, and he's doing a great job up there, putting on the entertaining show with the GSRC team here, racing local.
We need a highlight reel end of this of just Mad Mike Wadette's reverse entries at Wild West. It'll fill up quite a few minutes, wouldn't it? P3 is heating up. Oh, not sorry, P3. P4, Vanderdrift. Hermanson in 5th. Evans in 6th. By the way, Mitch Evans is carrying a black flag for the contact with Lovelady.
Well, we heard earlier on in the driver's briefing that if you don't redress, you're going to take a black flag, and that's exactly what's happening as we ride on board and watching, the 3-time New Zealand mini sprint champion, Christian Hermanson, one of the people behind Racing Local, as we ride on board with Hermo now.
Just behind him, there's a few side-by-side things going on, like Wadette on the inside of Lovelady. They're door-to-door, down the back straight towards the final corner. Let's have a look at this. On the inside, he gets it hooked nicely. He's on, he's almost on one wheel as he goes through that corner, as he jumps it over the inside of the corner.
So racing down here on dirt in the air at over 150 kilometres an hour. Mikey sitting at Mad Mike Wadette, sitting in 7th position, slightly stalls the car, back on the gas as there's contact made between the two drivers, Lovelady and Wadette.
This is lap 7, there's just 2 laps to go on this one. Lovelady still fends him off a hip check from Wadette, and he slides on by up into P7 then. But will it last as he rolls it around the corner very nicely, great line, and he'll get the launch out of the penultimate turn on the racetrack. Up towards the front, white flag gonna fly for Daniel Stevens, as there's been a mistake from Vanderdrift at the last corner, which sent him sideways and back into P6. Daniel Stevens is a 1 second margin over Partridge, but it doesn't look like a second anymore. 2 tenths. There's Partridge to the inside on the last lap. He gets into him. He puts him into the fence, and Partridge, after 8 laps of waiting, gets back or gets up into the lead of the race for the first time since he lost it off the start. Has Daniel Stevens got anything left for him? Down into the final corner, he might be too far back unless he absolutely launches it in. He tries, but it's not enough. Brendan Partridge then, a last lap pass is going to get it done. He will win the B-Main here at Wild West. He will go straight through to the feature, along with Daniel Stevens behind, and the rest of your top 10, Matt Stevens, Christian Hermanson, Mitch Evans, Chris Vanderdrift, Mike Wadette, Jackson Lovelady, William Humphreys, and Taylor Cockenden.
Well, he'll be a very happy man making his way through to the A-Main, Mad Mike Wadette. We're just riding on board with it just a moment ago, but ready for the big one. First half of the night, thanks to JWL Investments. It's the Pro 4 trucks at Wild West Motorsport Park.
Got a quick 2-minute warm-up here for all the drivers to get themselves sorted out. So it's a 22-car field for your 14-lap feature. All the drivers that book their spot through the heats will be starting towards the front. The 10 that advance out of the B-Main will line up from P13 on back. But there's some fantastic names in this feature. So we got Humble and Bambi in front row. We got Van Gisbergen, Lawson and Hartley starting 3rd, 4th and 5th. Because you get 3 wildly different categories that those drivers come from. They're lining up right next to each other on the grid. Hayden Paddon's back there in 7th. Earl Bamber, Tom Blomqvist, Hermanson, Wedette. This is going to be an absolute cracker, Rusty.
Yeah, it certainly is, and I love the quality of some of the liveries in the field. Best presented is going to be a difficult one to choose from, boys, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm a great fan of Connor's car. It's the same colour scheme as the Toyota GT80 he races with the Motorsport New Zealand Racing Series that we see out there on track.
And there's a couple of throwback Toyota liveries that you've talked about as well. One that sort of took me back to Rod Millen's Leadfoot Festival when I was up there earlier in February. So I love that sort of tip of the hat to some of the old stuff in the history of motorsport too.
Absolutely, a big shout out to Rod and Shelley as well. If you haven't been to Leadfoot Festival, I highly recommend you go. It is an amazing weekend.
Just a few seconds left in the warm-up here. A few drivers putting down lap times. A few just throwing it around the track. Might not get a lap in. 2 minutes is up. And we are going to get set for the feature event here at Wild West Motorsports Park. Let's go racing. Yeah, let's go racing for the feature from Wild West, live on the Global SimRacing Channel. And this is how they line up. Humble and Bamber, your front row. Van Gisbergen, Lawson, Hartley, Adam, Paddon, Harker, Bamber, Harding, and Waddell, your top 11 drivers. What a list that is, as you see the other half of the field up on your screen.
And there's drivers in here that you've seen already tonight, from Blomqvist, Mitch Evans, who's had to fight his way through the heats. Chris Vanderdrift looks strong as well. This is going to be a cracker.
The revs rise, the green flag flies. We're racing for the feature for the final time at Wild West. Not the final time to end the week 3 of Racing Local though, as Humble comes under pressure. And oh, that's a big one. Up and over he goes at the front of the field. Comes to rest on the inside, collected by more drivers. He's going to roll down the hill.
Well, Aaron Humble leads the way. He's got Shane Van Gisbergen in behind him as we see one car just continuing to spin on his roof. There's another one upside down, popped over the side. A lot of broken cars, a lot of damaged fiberglass tonight.
Who was that got turned? He got turned at the front of the field from the inside and rolled all the way down the hill.
Lawson,
I believe
with a point to prove.
It was Will Bamber that went for that wild ride.
Van Gisbergen takes a different line.
Throws it up the inside and trying to take it away. But Lawson behind is watching on as Humble fights back on the inside. He slides it into the corner. He checks Van Gisbergen up, and this brings Lawson into the frame.
Look at Wedette. Look at Mad Mike Wedette.
Wedette there in 4th, closing in as well. This could be a star-studded 4-way fight in this one. This has all the makings of an absolute grandstand race here.
Well, Mad Mike Wedette sitting in 4th place. You can see they're bumper to bumper up front. If anyone makes a mistake, it's going to be Wedette who will clinch the deal as a Humble drives away, but he's got Shane Van Gisbergen. Van Gisbergen getting a sniff of the inside line. If he gets his opportunity, he's going to fire at him. Liam Lawson, fastest lap. No, Mad Mike Wedette with a 51.639. Wedette flying out there on track tonight.
Azza did a great job there into the left-hander. Very late under brakes. You could see Van Gisbergen sizing him up, looking for the opportunity. Couldn't get it done. Van Gisbergen is having to work for this. Lawson playing a waiting game, and all the while, Mad Mike Wedette continues to close.
Well, it's 2 Red Bull cars on shot at the moment. It's Mad Mike Wedette chasing down Liam Lawson, one of 4 Red Bull drivers out here at Racing Local tonight. And it's a great job by Widget. As you can see, the complete difference in entry as we go on to that big, long straight, the front straight here at Wild West.
He lands the car or the truck in that manner to deliberately upset it and force it into the corner, doesn't he? It's amazing. Back to the front, Van Gisbergen battling with Azza. Azza holds it still. And again, Van Gisbergen is forced to the outside, forced to do it the hard way. Lawson, just a car length back. Maybe a touch there from Van Gisbergen, but he gets it. He gets ahead now. New leader.
Bumper run from SVG to put himself at the front. It's just lap 4 of 14 though. Still a long way to go here at Wild West Motorsports Park. Humble sits in second now. Liam Lawson back there in third. Widette and Bamba still trying to chase him from 4th and 5th. Add Tom Blomqvist to that list as well.
Further back in the grid, Will Bamba sitting one of the quick laps of the race so far. He had a huge crash earlier on in the race, and Will Bamba sitting in 13th place. And here is a big battle out on track. It's Sam Waddell in 7th place from Harker, and then we go back to Partridge. They are going to go 4 wide. Oh, contact. One gets hit into the concrete. That's the car that went upside down earlier on in the race.
Throwback to the Cougar paint scheme, isn't it, from Talladega Nights, that car. Oh, really wide there. That's not ideal. Van Gisbergen has now, over Azza, been able to build a 1.2 second lead.
Look at Harker to the inside, 3 wide down the back straight. This could get ugly down into the final corner. It's Harker, Hermanson, and Daniel Stevens. Stevens switches from the outside to the inside. That's a brilliant move. And he gets there to the inside of them. There's still 3 wide down the main straight over the jump in unison. This is out of control.
Somehow they kept it all pointing in the right direction.
And Brendan Partridge capitalizes on all of that. Sorry, not Partridge, but I couldn't quite catch the name. Someone
Daniel
just picks
Stevens,
up all of them.
I think it was. So I think it was Daniel Stevens that slid down. Looked like Sam Waddell for a moment, but Stevens sitting just in behind Christian Hermanson now. He's got Partridge in front. Widette, I see, just dropped back. Bamba taking the spot in 4th place. But what a race we've got with 9 to go. JWL Investments bringing you the Pro 4 trucks tonight, racing local.
And Steve, as you can see from that timing screen, as we continue to watch the wild antics here, Van Gisbergen now has a 2.5 second margin over Liam Lawson, who's ahead of Azza Humble, then Earl Bamba and Mike Widette.
Yeah, Gizzy's doing a great job up front. He's got that depth that you mentioned. A couple of Red Bull guys leading the pointy end of the field. Aaron Humble will certainly, Azza, have to come back and fight for it.
Bamba's under a lot of pressure from Widette. Look at him. Absolutely launch it around the outside to get the exit off turn 2. If he sets himself up well through the 3rd corner here, he may be able to get to the inside of Earl Bamba, riding on board with drifting legend down the back straight in the tyre tracks of Earl Bamba. Down to the final quarter. Check this out. He hooks it in. He bumps it open over the curbs and the jumps. I don't know how that thing has not ended up on its lid and down to that final corner, but he has got that sussed out.
I'm with you. I don't know how he hasn't flipped it either. Bamba running the classic 911 number. Earl Bamba, of course. Le Mans star. Look at this. Widette. Now they'll go side by side, but Bamba should have the inside running for the next right-hander.
Widette's going to try crossover. Bamba, I think he just balked it on the middle of the corner there. Wised up to it and didn't let Widette get the run off of the corner. It may be dirt racing, but you still have all of that same tactics at play that you see on your normal road course racing here. The crossovers, the runs off the corners are all still critical. Just, it's a bit more slippery out there.
And don't forget with Mad Mike Widette, that car you see on track is identical to the car he campaigns in many different places with the rotary 13B turbo under the bonnet. I think it might be naturally aspirated, but Mikey certainly at home behind the wheel of one of these trophy-style trucks.
SVG now with a 3.9 second lead. Back to Azza Humble. And then Earl Bamba and Widette, who we've been seen battling. The pair of them are split by only 0.06 of a second. But here's our race leader, how fluid, how smooth does he look? And again, a different discipline this week, and again, he's strong.
He does not have to worry about this crazy stuff going on behind him. Brendan Partridge coming into play now. He gets to the outside of Wedette, and this is giving some big breathing room to Earl Bamber. He's able to pull away from these guys as Wedette can't get over it, just absolutely launching it through there. It compromises him a little bit on the exit, I think, because Partridge switched back, and now he gets to his inside down the main straight. There's 5 laps to go here on the feature event of our first event of Week 3 Racing Local.
Mad Mike hit the wall there.
Oh, Partridge into the side of Bamber. Oh, they make contact.
Mad Mike Wedette slide through. Oh, he absolutely slid through. Almost grabbed position up front as well with Earl Bamber. So he'll be chasing him down. And it's just a pleasure to watch as he fires it down again. Mad Mike certainly putting on a show tonight. But Shane Van Gisbergen, he's got a 4-second gap between himself and Liam Lawson. No Scotty Mack tonight. Couldn't make it. But Shane Van Gisbergen doing it all the right way for the V8 Supercar fans tonight.
Hey, well done to everybody who's been commenting on the Racing Local Facebook page as well. You've been giving us some ideas about categories and tracks that are within the iRacing platform that we could go to each week. Great to start with something different. We started week 3 on the dirt. We've been typically starting with some circuit racing at Daytona or Road America, something different tonight, and we're seeing a few different names up the front. The attitude, the fun that we are seeing from Mad Mike Wedette and the way that he is attacking this, it's a joy to watch.
It certainly is. Got a feel for poor Partridge. It was a heck of a save from Wedette after getting into him at the top of a jump. They came together. Wedette somehow hung onto it. But unfortunately for poor Partridge, he was up and onto the fence and then over onto his lid. Wedette continues to fight with Bamber for P4 in this race. Liam Lawson in second, and he's all on a land of his own. He's not leading the race. He's 4 seconds off it, but he's got 4 seconds back to Humble. A lonely old drive for him at this point of the event. And Aaron Humble there back in third, similarly, all by himself. And then comes the crazy fight behind.
Not long to go. Van Gisbergen with a nice, comfortable margin. You're watching 9-11. That's Earl Bamber in position number 4 at the moment. Jump aboard with Earl now.
As Earl Bamber fires it into the left-hander back onto the front straight here at Wild West.
Wedette rolled it. It finally came on stock, and he went for about half a dozen tumbles, but he lands it on all 4 tyres. We'll see if we can get a replay of that. If we can.
2 to go.
Here it is. We'll get a very quick replay for you guys.
Awkward landing, and over it goes. Now, he has been doing that, and somehow it gets back on all 4, hits the gas, and off he goes. Now, he has been doing those wild entries for a few laps now, and we were surprised about how it had not come unglued for him. Finally, it does.
Only losing a single spot, Mad Mike Wedette. So, Daniel Stevens, although he's got Patton this time, Hayden Patton trying the inside line. It's a drag race between Patton and Mad Mike Wedette. It's the final lap.
White flag flies for your race leader Van Gisbergen, as comfortable as he'll be all season long. As Wedette just launches Patton out to the outside of the track and says, I'm taking that spot, thank you very much.
You know that he's got a motocross background and supercross style background. That was like a block pass, wasn't it? He just absolutely fired it in there, flicked it left and went on through after a little bit of contact.
But here's the leader now, Shane Van Gisbergen, driving the 97 car on his final tour. He'll throw it hard into the left-hander and make his way back down to the front straight. Looks like it's going to be a clean victory. Shane Van Gisbergen wins the first half of the race. Thanks to JWL Investments, Liam Lawson will come home in second place. And it will be Azza Humble, as we see cars going upside down to celebrate.
Earl Bamber will be 4th, and Christian Hermanson in 5th. So that's your top 5 at the end of the feature event here at Wild West Motorsports Park.
And by the look at the end there, Ryan, Hayden Patton has finished ahead of Mad Mike Wadet.
Indeed he has. Patton coming home 7th, Wadet 8th.
Great
Right
race.
as the sun set as well, guys. It was
So
starting
looking
to
at the
get
top
dark out
10,
there.
Shane Van Gisbergen takes the win from Liam Lawson. 3rd place was Aaron Humble. Earl Bamber finishing in 4th place from Christian Hermanson. We move back to Daniel Stevenson, 6th from Hayden Patton. Mad Mike Wadet, Brendan Partridge, and to round out the top 10, Will Bamber coming home.
So that will conclude as we look at the rest of the race results there. You can see Lovelady, Stevens, Blomqvist, and then everyone who retired from the feature after having some big issues throughout the course of it. That will conclude our first half of the coverage here for Racing Local. But stay with us live on the Global SimRacing Channel because we are going to maximum speed next. We are going to Michigan International Speedway in the Dallara DW12 IndyCar. Stay with us. Welcome back to our coverage of week 3 of Racing Local. We've wrapped up what was a truly incredible event at Wild West, and we are completely changing it up for our second event of the week as we go to Michigan in the DW12 IndyCar. Let's have a chat to some of our top performers in that first event. Aaron Humble coming home in third in the feature. You did not do that the easy way, my friend.
Yeah, well, I knew there's quite a few heavy hitters there around me, so it's kind of just how long I could hold them off for, I guess. I was shocked myself, I think, going top qualifier and then winning my heat. I was expecting to be end of the pack, but happy with third.
Azza, it's Rusty here. It's nice to talk to you. Well done. Just give people who are watching the coverage on the Racing Local Facebook page and in all sorts of other areas a sense of what was going through your mind when you were getting the absolute hurry up, the pressure from Shane Van Gisbergen. Was it all smiles and it was game on, or was it a bit hot under the collar?
Yeah, Rusty, that was a bit, I guess, daunting. I was just hoping I could get into turn 1 nice and tidy and hopefully get a bit of lead there. But both Shane and Liam were on me for the whole time I was leading there, and they weren't giving me any room as you would expect. But it was quite nice to rub, side panels with them. And as soon as Shane went past, I just knew I had to try to stay with him as much as I could. But yeah, it was a bit stressful. I can't say I was happy-faced. I was a bit happy when I was in third, though, just because I had a bit of a buffer to fourth there, and both Liam and Shane just managed to drive around that stick there. So I just had to hang on for the final podium.
Azza, it's SDM here. Look, you're a speedway man. You've raced mini stocks. You're racing in the TQ midgets. You race on dirt. A bit of a difference, though, isn't there?
Yeah. The one thing I guess with dirt there kind of helped in the rallycross was it had that dirt aspect to it. But disappointed, I guess, or can't show my dirt talent just with the rallycross because it's not, I guess, the dirt I'm used to. But hopefully next week with a dirt track, maybe a midget or something, we can get on that high side and show us what we're good at.
Well, Aaron, I think you got to be pretty happy with that. And now you're getting ready for Michigan in the IndyCar. What are your prospects with this? It's a completely different type of racing.
Yeah, I probably didn't really venture into any sort of tarmac until about a week ago. But I've got some grips with the IndyCar. Doing some laps with Hermo and Brendan early in the week. So I think I've got my grip on it. I think I've just got a bit of a strategy in the back of my mind. I think if I can execute that, I should hopefully be in the top 10 and having a sniff near the end.
Hey, well, best of luck. We'll let you get to it and go show them how it's done.
Cheers, guys.
So that was Aaron Humble, who came across third at the end of the feature event at Wild West Motorsports Park. And we've got another driver that we can have a chat to. I'm going to ask you here, Rusty, who would you say? Murphy, Reed Harker, Tom Alexander, 3 drivers that were definitely in the thick of the action in the feature and the course of the racing.
Why don't we go for Greg Murphy, given the challenges that he's had so far? Murph, you're online by the sounds of it. It's Rusty here. What happened in the early part of the night, and have you got on top of it? Looks like you have.
You might not have. All right. We'll try him again a little bit later if we can. Reed Harker definitely had a pretty interesting race out there. Was in and amongst it all race long. What are your thoughts coming out of Wild West, Reed? What about third time's the charm, hey guys? We'll try Christian Hermanson. Christian, you got a copy on us.
G'day, how's it going?
Good. Hey, third time's the charm. You had a pretty wild event out there, didn't you? Everyone was all over the place, and you were definitely in the thick of it.
Yeah, that was tough, but it was good for us in the end. Came out of the C main there, and won the C main, and then transferred through the B main to the A main, back of the A main. So yeah, I had to get my elbows up and put the passing pants on, and just sort of roll around people, and managed to avoid all the carnage, and yeah, got to P5, which I'm really happy with.
Christian, it's Rusty. Congratulations. That must feel good just to sort of get in the race car in a virtual sense. But also you must be pleased, $24,000 raised coming into tonight so far. It would be nice to think at the end of the 4 weeks that we might be able to get to that $50,000 total.
Yeah, absolutely. I got a little bit more chance to do some test laps this week, and it's good to actually have a good result in my own series. We've had a bit of a struggle the first couple of weeks, so yeah, we're into it now, and hopefully we can carry that on in the IndyCar. And yeah, as you say, it's just the support that we've received through the Give a Little page is just unbelievable. And from all the sponsors who are on board this week, it's just we had this idea a couple of weekends ago over Anzac, and Chris, Brendan, Billy, Sarah, and myself, and I don't think any of us, if you told us back then that we would raise $25,000 for some businesses in New Zealand, I think we would have laughed at you. So it's sort of taken off, and we're on the live stream, we're on CRC Motorsport. It's it's just fantastic.
Christian, Steve's going to talk to you in a second, no doubt, and ask another question. Just quickly, while you've raised that, it's worth just underscoring how people that are watching can give a little. Just let people know.
Yeah, absolutely. So the link is right there in the description on the Facebook, and I did a little pinned comment before. So yeah, just encourage people to give a little either through us or directly through SOS themselves. So yeah, we want to get to that 50,000. So yeah, we need everyone's support.
Well, Herbo, look, congratulations. You went through the C, B, and then into the A. So I guess at least in that race there, you finished with an A. Look, tell me, every driver is racing for somebody tonight. Who are you racing for tonight?
So I'm racing for Orlando Country tonight. They're a conference golf course sort of set up here in Palmerston North. They've actually been, really struggling through the lockdown and even before the lockdown when the borders sort of closed and all the tourists stopped. So, yeah, I'm racing for the Lowry family tonight out there at Orlando. So, we put on a good show. I think I definitely got my money's worth tonight. I did 3 extra races, including that B and the C. So, hopefully we can be a little bit cleaner in the IndyCar and be at the front again.
Get out there and qualify.
Fantastic. Thanks, guys.
So, qualifying, let's cast our eyes to the 2-mile oval. That is Michigan International Speedway. It is 100% flat out, full throttle in these cars. High downforce, they stick to the track like glue, and they reach speeds of about 360 kilometers an hour by themselves.
Well, that's certainly not slow. It's the return to an oval, but in this case here, it's not the dirt track oval. We are off to a super speedway 2 miles long. And it's Partridge who is at the pointy end at the moment. Just over 3 minutes left. Matt Stevens' current lap, 32. There's drivers from all over New Zealand from every type of discipline. It's great to see them out here.
2 miles, as you say, or 3.2 Ks in length. Averages around this venue, I mean, you're talking 200 mile an hour up to 320 Ks an hour. And in terms of top speed, we have seen them in racing up around the 354 kilometre an hour in the fastest parts of the track. It's a D-shaped oval. It can lend itself, and typically does, to pack racing. So when we get going, watch them off turn 4. We should get some great battles to the line, I think, in this.
Yeah, all those photo finishes? I think we might get another one. It's going to be just the sole race here at Michigan. We're changing it up a bit, the format for this event. It's going to be a 45-lap race with a competition caution at some point and fuel limited at the start in their cars and their fixed setup, so that they have to come in at some point and top the car up. So a bit of strategy games to be played as well. On the leaderboard in qualifying, Matt Stevens is fastest over Brendan Partridge, Tom Blomqvist, Liam Lawson, Ben Drever, your top 5, and look how tight it is.
We've seen Stevens leading the way multiple times over the last few weeks, doing it the right way again at the pointy end of the field. Other names down there, as we see Robert Northway this time posting the fast lap, fast time Northway. And look at some of these paint schemes. Nesquick on the side, they look sensational.
Of course, iRacing allows you to completely customize your paint, put whatever you want on it. barring permissions, obviously, from the sponsors and logos you put on your car. Other than that, you can go wild with what you want to do to your race car. Everything from matte to chrome liveries will all work out here on iRacing, which is truly awesome to see. And you'll be amazed some of the liveries you'll see. SVG languishing back in 15th at the moment. For him, that's quite far down the order, but in saying that, it's only 800ths off the pace.
They're remarkably close when you look at the lap time. So it's a 31.858 leads the way from a 31.868. 100th of a second splitting the top two. We're going to run out of time here. 45 to go in this qualifying session. We'll go racing at Michigan with a pit stop as well. Another different discipline being added. Week 3 of Racing Local.
It's a big facility, this place, isn't it? You see from the scenic shots over the racetrack. And it sits proudly in Michigan. There's a big draw card to many spectators when NASCAR comes, a knock-in, and IndyCar come here as well. This is a
1967.
This is the 2009 version of the racetrack and how the racing surface was over a decade ago. There is a newer version in iRacing, but this is the free version. So that's why we're using it today. And this is the free version of the Indy cars we have as well. The DW12 first introduced in 2012. So
typically, in the real world, can seat 125,000 people in those grandstands carded. So we'd love to see it filled for the main event here.
It'll be a rolling start.
Of course, something else that we see is in the real-world conditions that we talk about is spotters. And I know that some of these drivers will be using spotters as well. We've seen it in the past with Scotty Mack, etc. The cars are lined up. Rusty, David Turner, always happy to help us out, feeds us through the information. Big shout-out to him, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. A producer that's been around New Zealand motorsport for quite some time. I got to work with him in the supercars days at Pukekohe many, many years ago, and he's an avid fan and has lived and breathed it when he's been over in the United States on many, many occasions. So, getting ready to go racing.
Let's have a look at your grid as they roll off for their rolling start here. Robert Northway and Matt Stevens sharing the front row. There's a SimRacing Giro out front. Brennan Partridge and Tom Blomqvist off row 2. Wedette starting from 5th ahead of Daniel Stevens. Liam Lawson, Ben Dreva 7th and 8th. Your top 10 is Sam Dunstall and Bryce Howdy.
Back to row 6. Will Bamber on the outside there. Simon Evans from position number 13. Shane Van Gisbergen will come out of 15th. Watch for him in the pack. Ahead of Taylor Cockerton. Earl Bamber out of 19th. And Azza Humble, who we were talking to just a short time ago, on the outside of row 10. There are some very good, very capable names well down the order, including Brendan Hartley out of P25.
Certainly is, Rusty, and you'll see the rest of your grid scroll by on your screen because we're getting set for a start here at Michigan. We're racing local to support local businesses right across New Zealand through SOS Business and Guild Trap Group. There's a link in the description if you want to go donate yourself through our Give a Little page. And the drivers out there giving back to those businesses that have helped them over the course of their careers. We've got some sim racers out there as well who are taking it to the pros. Northway and Stevens are on your front row. That pace car is going to take a hard left turn down and out of turn number 4. And the field in the hands of Robert Northway for 45 laps around Michigan International Speedway. We look to the flag stand as the green flag flies and we go racing.
Great sight, great sound. You can, when you're dialed in, use 3 different lanes effectively here. Low, mid-track and high up close to the wall.
You can see no one's able to pull away on this opening lap. Just took a moment to listen in to the sounds of these cars because they sound truly beautiful at full noise around this racetrack. Already up to 60 kilometers an hour. Northway leads them with Mike Wedette Up into second, picks off Matt Stevens. Behind their side-by-side and in a big pack, Partridge, Lawson, Dunstall, Bryce Harding with a big host of momentum down to the inside.
Well, Robert Northway doing a great job up the front, leading the way. Mad Mike Wadet certainly finished running in second position at the moment, 0.1 back to Stevens and Partridge. Liam Lawson, fastest lap. Mad Mike Wadet, he's been putting in the laps in iRacing over the last few weeks.
Yep,
Oh, that was tight behind.
Eclipsed just briefly there by Simon Evans, so we'll go back to you there, Ryan.
It got very tight behind them as they all concentrated up into each other at the top of the range in terms of the speed of these cars reached, and they had to back off down into turn number 1. Some of the guys further back in the field. But your top 2 have pulled a slight margin on everyone here. There's about a quarter of a second between Northway and Wadet. Back to third place, Matt Stevens, and then 3 wide, Dunstall, Partridge, and Lawson down into turn number 1. Partridge is on the middle of the track and he's going backwards, but now the slipstream comes to his aid.
Well, it's all about the toe at the moment. You can see 3 different lines as they fire back out around this final turn back onto the front straight. It's Northway who leads, with Det getting closer and closer every lap.
On board with Mad Mike now. New fastest lap for Andre Heimgartner. A low 31, 31.463. Wadet stays sort of mid-track here.
You can see he just jumped under there, try to get himself a little bit more toe coming down the straight here before he does a great job in that centre section of the track. Probably needs to bring the nose down and get into a bit of slipstreaming. Oh, there's a big one further down, and one car's up and over.
Couple cars having a massive incident off turn number 4. We stay green. Remember, we'll have a caution. No, the caution does fly now. Here's a replay of that crash that brings out the yellow flag in Michigan.
Oh, so there was contact.
Oh my!
So right front into left rear, and over it went.
And there was another incident off of turn 4 as well, I do believe. Because this was halfway down the back straightaway. They went hard into that inside fence at almost full speed, close to 300 k's an hour. And then a couple more guys wrecked out of turn number 4. And they too went for a massive incident. I didn't quite catch who it was. All I know is there it is. It was Blomqvist. And he was sent skywards with this incident. We'll show this as well here, Steve.
We're riding on board. Coming to the turn. Riding on board with Tom Blomqvist as he brings the nose down. Let's see what happens. So, looks like he's got a bit of a tank slap on him. And yeah, lost the whole tail end. And then there was another car already there. Look at Skyward. And brings the car back down.
So that left front just went below the white line fractionally. Was there a touch, or did the rear just let go on its own? Frightening moment. And he was running in the top 10 or just outside it from memory.
Yeah, that car basically acted as a ramp down there, stationary against the fence, and he almost went up towards the edge of the... he was doing his best impersonation of a rocket there. He crashed back down to earth, unfortunately, a failed launch, and he's back in pit lane. There's 3 fast repairs, as iRacing calls them, which enable you to either tow back to pit lane or limp back to pit lane and fully repair your car. Magicians working down in the pit lane for you, pretty much. And you've got 3 of them available to you in this race. There are many races where you do not have them available to keep the realism as real as possible, as it usually is in iRacing. So he's still going to have to wait for that car to complete its tow to pit lane before he can get back out there on the racetrack. So he's going to lose a lap here.
Well, let's have a look at some of the positions on track at the moment. Robert Northway leads from Mad Mike Wadet. We've got Sam Dunstall in 3rd position from Partridge in 4th. Liam Lawson sitting in 5th at the moment from Daniel Stevens. Matthew Griffin, Matt Stevens in 8th. Callum Quinn, Andre Heimgartner down in 10th with Drever, Chris Vanderdrift, Hermanson, Humble, Hartley Evans. That's that middle row. So they're all lined up behind the Ford Mustang pace vehicle. 8 laps down.
There's a lot of drivers.
45, aren't we?
Yeah, there's a lot of drivers, sorry, Rusty, that have fallen a lap down. There was a lot more chaos towards the back of the field that we didn't catch over the opening few laps. Everyone from 22nd back to 41st is laps down. A lot of guys are 2 adrift after having to tow back to pits. Some of those names include Blomqvist, Tom Alexander, Van Gisbergen, Waddell, Matthew Payne, Mitch Evans is 3 down, and Greg Murphy's 4 laps down.
Not used to seeing Shane Van Gisbergen in this series that far down. So just to clarify, we're scheduled for 45 laps or 35 minutes. We're at Michigan. They're running the DW12 IndyCar, named after the late Dan Weldon. He did all the testing for this car in real life and sadly lost his life in a crash at Texas Motor Speedway at the end of 2011. And Tony Kanaan and Dario Franchitti went and got behind the wheel and the final sort of bits of work on the car before it was introduced for the following season, but it really was a passionate project for Dan.
Well, it's week 3 of Racing Local. Big thank you to our sponsors, Giltrap Group and SOS Business at the top. We've also got Toyco.co.nz, Cream Insurance, Gary Douglas Limited, Wade Collision Repairs, Toyota Gazoo Racing New Zealand, Red Bull, Garage 16, and of course our sponsors for the races tonight. We had JWL Investments looking after the trucks at the Wild Wild West, and All Ports Gaming IndyCars tonight. Racing Local.
Now, Ryan, I know you'll keep an eye on it as we go here, but not everyone pitted, obviously. So you know there are some that are laps down on our timing, but you know the game will shake out here. Remember that it is a fixed setup for everybody, but there is a mandatory pit stop that they must take. And in the real world, if you run up front on your own by yourself, the fuel burn is massively higher. So if you can do a little bit of gamesmanship and not subject yourself to that, fuel burn might be a little nicer, a little kinder to you.
Well, think about this. 35 minutes is the limit in terms of time for this one. We might not get to 45 laps because of how long this caution is.
Good point. That's what Michigan. I was going to before.
And the lap times themselves are about 30 seconds. They're doing 1:44 behind the pace car here. You can assure you that everyone out there is riding the clutch as hard as they can, using as little throttle as they possibly can to get around the track at the moment. That's why Northway's so far behind the pace car, because he's just coasting at the moment with the clutch paddle in. There's about 11 minutes up on the clock. I think they're still going to have to pit, but if you do need another caution, I'll tell you what, it might be close to not pitting. There's only 10 gallons in the car, or 10 litres in the car for those drivers, so there's not much fuel to begin with, though.
Yeah, so 10 gallons, 3.78, I think, litres, 37.8 litres in the car, so not a huge amount. They said that they thought they'd be able to do, was it 35 laps on that one there, but then possibly not going to do 45. As Rusty talks about fuel burn, they may get there, but it's going to be a squeeze.
Glad your maths is better than mine.
Good news is we're going to go back racing, this time by Rusty, and it's going to be a single file restart.
I'll let you call it here, but I've just been super impressed with Mad Mike Waddett. Great job so far tonight, no matter what the discipline.
Indeed. So Northway's going to control the field again for what will be our restart number 1, heading on to lap 11 of 45 laps at Michigan International Speedway. It's Northway, Waddett, Dunstall, your top 3. The green flag flies, and we go back racing. And Dunstall, nowhere to go. He got a great launch, but Waddett was slow. That's checked up a lot of people. Dunstall goes down low. Partridge, nowhere to go. The squeeze is on for some of the drivers out there. Matthew Griffin almost got squeezed, and Waddett is already back to 5th. Look at Lawson. He went down below the white line, which is perfectly legal here at Michigan. He advanced up from 5th to 3rd, looking for 2nd.
Well, with 12 laps down, it's a great battle up front. Northway, Dunstall, Lawson. Lawson tries to tuck in. These are the style of car that Liam Lawson races, and he's right in there in the mix, trying to chase him down. Mad Mike having a bit of a fight back. He's sitting in 5th still. Griffin's between him and Lawson.
They've thrown the caution flag again for an incident further back in the pack. Looks like it was out of turn 4, judging by that plume of smoke.
So
looks like it was Mitch Evans.
Yeah. Here we go. We have a look at the GSRC replay. He's mid-track, as you can see there. Someone so they all get into trouble in front of him, and he is the innocent bystander with literally no option, nowhere to go. Wow, that was a big crash involving several cars.
So when I said there was a crash further back in the pack, I might have slightly understated it, because that was what we would call a big one. Who triggered that then?
There's Andre Heimgartner. Oh, and you can see it all happen up front. Heimgartner doesn't have anywhere to go apart from this guy. Lots of broken cars. Who else was involved in there? So,
half the field.
Well, just looking at how many cars are down.
So
17 on the lead lap.
Caution is they're waving everyone back around. Unfortunately, there's people 2 laps down, so it's going to put a lot of people a lap down needing another caution here. There's only 3 cars that are a solitary lap. There's about 15 or so that are 2 laps adrift, as all your leaders have come down to pit lane. Sam Dunstall wins the race off pit road.
Now, a number of people are commenting on the Racing Local Facebook page, we should say too, Ryan, asking where Scott McLaughlin is. There's one there from Xavier Sands, I think it is. So, Xavier, we can tell you he unfortunately couldn't be a part of week 3 of Racing Local. So, he sends his apologies, Scotty McLaughlin. He had another commitment, unfortunately, this evening, and it would have been great to see him racing in these conditions. Those IndyCar E-Series races he has been doing, it's a slightly different model to this DW12 here. But no doubt that's why you're asking the question, because would he have been strong in this one? You would think so.
So each of these drivers, of course, are supporting a local business here in New Zealand. Bad Mike Waddett with Pocono Bacon Cafe. We've got Catnip Cafe for Top Country, Ostera, Autobahn, North Drift Cafe in the Northland area, Unleash Doggy Daycare and Grooming in Palmerston North for William Humphreys, Island Gelato Company and Waiheke Island, Relishes Cafe, Mr. D, Neck of the Woods, Bodywork Massage. There's so many Tai Kai on Rimu and Hamilton. A huge list of amazing businesses, etc. 764, Moe's Bar, the Pookie Tapu in Hawke's Bay, Orlando Country, Dora's Espresso Eatery in Hamilton, Pro Nordic. Who else have we got in here? There's so many. The Sugar Shed, Bees Knees Cafe, Nicholson's Cafe. These drivers certainly enjoying the cafes. Fernland Spa and Mineral Water out in Tauranga for Sam Waddell, Smoke and Barrels, Slick Burgers, Pioneer Pie Company, Cafe Chaos, The Little Things Coffee, and then Pioneer Pie again for Reed Harker. There is just a huge list of people that the drivers are supporting tonight.
You've done that before, Steve, haven't you?
Read it fast.
Now, the reason we're under caution still here, despite being, yes, a virtual racing, is in order to go through the procedures, iRacing's caution system allows the field to catch up and, catch up to each other on other cautions so no one gets an advantage. And then it opens up the pit lane to the cars in the lead lap. So the laps cars aren't getting involved with the leaders. The wave arounds happen, and the pit lane's open to cars a lap down. A lap is allowed for drivers to catch back up. Once everyone's caught up, the lights go out and we have 1 to go, which should happen this time by here. And obviously 1 to go. If it was NASCAR, they'd form up side by side. And IndyCar, they get ready to go racing from single file. And then we go racing. So that is why we're doing a 3 laps under the caution period here, as I can see a few people commenting about why, considering it's virtual, there's no drivers to recover from cars or medical workers to get off the racetrack. But there's still a lot of things in play to allow this to be nice and fair for everyone out there.
from the restart, it generally takes a full lap to hit top speed around Michigan here. So it's all about momentum. Lap 16 of scheduled 45. Will we go 45 or run the 35-minute time limit?
I think if we get no more cautions, we should get there with a couple of minutes to spare, because they are, of course, just 30-second lap times. It's pretty quick. 360 kilometers an hour is just extraordinary speeds, isn't it? And it's extraordinary as well to think that they're doing that on a screen in front of them. A few are racing in VR, of course, at triple screens, but virtually 360 kilometers an hour, and they still have the ability to maintain those margins of just a couple inches between each other. It won't be down to your race leader, Ben Deriva. They'll be going green on the iRacing green flag here. So they'll wait till Barney the flagman flies that green flag up in the flag stand, and then everyone will accelerate. So Deriva's not going to be able to get a big jump over the field here. Top two stayed out. There's 20 cars on the lead lap here, fellas. About 8 more a lap down. Dunstall and Northway are 3rd and 4th after pitting behind those 2 drivers of Vanderdrift, Deriva, and Chemley that's there. So 3 drivers, sorry. And Vanderdrift will lead them back to the green. Here we go.
Well, back to green flag racing with Chris Vanderdrift dropping back, Ben Deriva going back up. Liam Lawson comes along for the ride with Matthew Griffin. Vanderdrift's going all the way back as well. Christian Hermanson now sitting in 4th place. A great battle up front. Lap 17 of 45. Will we go the distance?
Liam Lawson leads them then after starting from 6. He carved his way through those guys on the opening half a lap. But look at Matthew Griffin. Look at the pace he has as he pulls to the outside down to turn number 1. Flat out, and it's all about the inside, the shortest route around the circuit. There's no one to help Griffin up top, and Ben Deriva's in 3rd, opting for that low line. They're battling for 4th behind Northway and Hermanson as well.
Great job by Liam Lawson. Remember week 1 of Racing Local, he was in that photo finish, one of the closest we've ever seen in iRacing at Daytona with Scott McLaughlin and Shane Van Gisbergen. He's a great talent. He's clearly shown that he's mastered the sim in the last few weeks, and he's on the move internationally with a bright future.
Oh, Bob drafting in an Indy car. That's brave from Matthew Griffins. Very brave, Steve.
As you look out the back of the car. So that is your leaders at the moment as they race in front of a huge crowd of 120,000 people. Liam Lawson leads away from Griffin. Ben Deriva sits in 3rd position from Robert Northway. Christian Hermanson in 5th. We've got Chemley, Matt Stevens, Dunstall, Stevens again, and Partridge. That's your top 10, lap 20. Racing Local.
On your broadcast is 120,000 people, but on my iRacing, I'm respecting social distancing. I've turned my crowds off.
Well, we're in level 2 now, so we can get a little bit closer, and that's what they're doing on the track at the moment. They are side by side coming through the turn.
Here comes Deriva to the outside. 3 wide for the race lead across the stripe. Lap 21 of 45. Behind them, Robert Northway, Hermanson, Stevens, they've all closed up as well. Up on the high side, Deriva's got no momentum to work with, and he falls back behind and side by side now for 3rd with Northway.
What a great sight.
Yeah, Rusty, you can see some of these cars, they're choosing who they're going to get in behind, Rusty.
Yeah, definitely. They're looking at lanes and options, aren't they? So Lawson with 0.06 of a second. That was wild. That was loose there for someone. Not wanting to get up into that wall.
Liam Lawson leads the way up front. Still Griffiths. He's so close, it doesn't matter at the moment. With Deriva running in 3rd position, and you can watch them there. You can see 3 in a row trying to get that slipstream working as one car drops back, heading for the pits. Deriva to the pits.
Yeah, Driver stayed out, of course, didn't he? So he has to pit to make it home to the end, unfortunately. All the rest of these guys did pit under the caution, so they're in with a shout here. As look at the speed that Brendan Partridge has now. Closing to the back of Lawson, going to the middle of the racetrack. That leaves Matthew Griffin up high, and he will surely have to slot back in line, as he does. Lawson's doing a fantastic job at the moment to hold on to the race lead, but can he do it for the last 22 laps left in this race still? What about 4 wide for the race lead? They're thinking about it. They're thinking about it, and they're not going to do it because that door's shut up top.
The New Zealand Grand Prix winner, 2-time, leading the way. From Griffin, now Stevens into P3. It's a great fight here at Michigan.
Daniel
Certainly
Stevens
switching
and
and changing. Certainly switching and changing as they go through the turn again. It's Lawson who leads, and it's certainly a battle of the Stevens at the moment as well. Further back, looking at Mad Mike Widdett, he's down in 12th place. He started further up the grid, but had to do a big fight back. And who's he got? Freeman in behind. But the battle is right up the front at the moment, but only a couple of seconds splitting first and about 20th position.
Oh, they're 4 wide for a moment there. Brendan Partridge tried to find the gap in between Daniel Stevens and Liam Lawson. It wasn't there for him. And this just seems like Lawson's in a very bad spot because these guys are able to suck up to the back of him and drive right on by. But as they pull out, they suddenly get hit with the full force of the air on the front of their car, which slows them up, and they can't carry enough momentum to get by it.
Well, it's lap 26 of 45 at the moment. The battle has not changed. It's Liam Lawson, Stevens, and Griffin battling away. There's 5 cars now involved.
Awesome stuff.
Oh, that was close.
Yeah.
But it makes a new leader out of the front. New race leader, Matthew Griffin to the head of the field. Daniel Stevens to second. Lawson falls to third.
Looking back through the haze, you can see that Lawson has drifted back. I think I said he's 2-time winner before, but he is a New Zealand Grand Prix winner. That's the point I wanted to make. And he's still very much in the game here. Goes the low line now.
Here comes Northway with some good momentum as well. Pushes up to the back of Lawson, which helps Lawson get some speed, and he goes to the outside of Daniel Stevens. But not enough momentum to go round there at turn 1. He's pinching him down in the corner. Side draft and contact, and up the track goes Lawson. He whacks the fence. Can he keep it off the rest of the field? He can, but he's going to fall backwards now.
Oh, the car almost stopped on the track as well. Most of those drivers, all of those drivers getting through at the moment. But look at this battle. There's at least 12 cars involved at the moment.
Look at Northway fly on the top there.
So Liam Lawson's dropped all the way down to 11th position after making contact with the concrete. Daniel Stevens now leads the way. And this is what it looks like riding on board Dunstall as we see another car. I think it was Matt Stevens this time making the outside pass. Has to tuck back into the slipstream again to try and get back on the toe.
And as we ride with Dunstall here, just keep an eye out for Brendan Hartley and Chris Vanderdrift. They're nicely placed, those two, aren't they?
Heimgartner came from nowhere. And Matthew Payne, they went from 13th and 14th last time by to up inside the lead pack, but they're a lap down. What they're doing here, if they get by, will put them back on the lead lap should another caution come out. Oh no, Heimgartner, bump draft gone wrong. Oh, what a crash, and oh no, it goes wrong. For a moment there, he did a perfect barrel roll over another competitor and landed on all 4 tyres, and then he just tagged the fence again and ruined it.
Well, we've seen
Northway
the big one
gets taken out.
It looks like we've seen it all over again. Stevens leads, Griffin in second place, but there are cars going backwards fast.
Dunstall crashes as well, up and into the catch fence, rolls back down the track, and unfortunately those 2 laps cars have wreaked havoc amongst our race leaders. So that leaves just 3 cars at the front of the train. Stevens, Griffin and Partridge.
Well, it's Stevens and Griffin side by side as they come out of the turn. Riding on board with Partridge. Those are the leaders in front of him. He's got to choose who he wants to get in and grab the toe from.
Oh, there's contact. They both spin. Partridge slips on by. And Griffith goes for a wild crash. This leaves Partridge by himself. Brendan Hartley's got Chris Vanderdrift just behind him. And Matt Stevens. I wonder if they can work together to get to your race lead.
Vanderdrift is up to third and Hartley P2. This is remarkable.
Shane O'Connor's now sitting in 4th place. Daniel Stevens drops back to 5th. Liam Lawson, he's made his way back up to 7th place after that hit with the concrete.
These two guys heavily involved in the organisation, the creation of this, along with Christian Hermanson, Barry Tomlinson, their partners, and here they are on track having a great battle. Chris Vanderdrift and Brendan Hartley.
Good news for Partridge. He's now got help from Mike Wedette. So he's not by himself anymore. Wedette's a lap down, but still it's helping him along, giving him some extra speed.
10 to go, if we go the full 45.
Hartley and Vanderdrift are battling and it's slowing them up.
1.4 seconds behind the leader at the moment. Partridge certainly getting a drive by himself at the moment while these two battle it out. Only a small handful of cars now on the lead lap after we saw all that contact further back in the field.
Look at Liam Lawson rebounding after that brush with the wall before. He dropped all the way down to position 11. Yes, a few things have unfolded up in front of him. He's back in position 5.
Shane Van Gisbergen, another name to mention to the list. He's a lap down, but he was all the way down in about 30th position after the first couple of laps of the race, now sitting in 7th place.
Crazy race.
Riding on board with Shane Van Gisbergen now.
The 2nd place, Hartley trying to come back by Vanderdrift on the outside of turn 1. They really sewing each other up. They're only about half a tenth quicker than Partridge while they do this. They can work together and Vanderdrift can tuck right up in behind that rear wing of Hartley for an entire lap. They should be able to suck up the back of Partridge.
Race toe. That's what they're doing. They're working in tandem, aren't they? Oh, no. Is that... I thought it was Mad Mike, was it?
Wedette and Humphreys. They were right behind Partridge. Now he's by himself.
Well, with 8 to go, this is the battle for the 2nd position. They'll certainly need to work together. They're 1.4 seconds behind Partridge, who leads the race. It's Chris Vanderdrift. Brendan Hartley. Hartley this time squeezes down the inside and will take position as we go 8 to go.
But does Partridge have support? He got that little bit of assistance before there, if you like, from Mad Mike Wedette. We know that Vanderdrift and Hartley are doing a good job working together. It's down to 1.2 seconds between Partridge and Vanderdrift.
Northway is keeping Partridge company and slowing him up because he's going side by side with him, taking the air away from the car. But Hartley and Vanderdrift are continuing to do the same. But I think they've clued up to it and they're not battling now. Once they get in the slipstream, they're just going on by. And the other one's letting them go and returning the favour.
Well, it's down to 1.1 seconds at the moment. Can they get up and challenge for the lead? They are certainly eating into the lead with 6 to go. It's 1 second between these two here and the leader.
Now Partridge slots in behind Northway. He ran a 32.2 last time by. Vanderdrift a 32.0 and Hartley a 31.9. Let's see what it is this time. As Partridge will come across behind Robert Northway and pulls to his outside a 32.1. For Vanderdrift a 31.9, for Hartley a 31.9, so 2 tenths quicker again.
Five laps to go here at Michigan.
in a second, they're going to be close enough to get the slipstream effect from Northway and Partridge, and suddenly the gap will evaporate. I'll tell you what, they might get there. 4 laps to go now. This could be very, very close.
Under a second. 0.8 between Vanderdrift and Partridge. They're working together superbly. And with less than 4 to go, they're going to put themselves right in contention for the win here. This is going to be a great battle to the line.
Riding on board just then with Brendan Hartley. Hartley 0.8 of a second now between himself. We're not watching the race for these two here at the moment until we get one to go. They are trying to get onto that battle just in front. It's just coming to the screen now. There's Partridge. He's working with a back marker to try and get himself a gap between himself and Vanderdrift Hartley.
I tell you what, Robert Northway is Partridge's best friend right now. Without him, he would already be in the clutches of Hartley and Vanderdrift, but he is keeping him up there for the race lead. I wonder if they're friends in real life, because I'll tell you what, they probably will be after this. He is his savior right now.
3 to go, 0.6 of a second gap, and that is the leader up front. These two trying to chase him down. Will they get there?
What's the agreement? Is it all bets off from turn 3 on the final lap between Vanderdrift and Hartley?
Well, we're right on board with our leader at the moment, and those two there trying to chase him down. There is now 2 laps to go in this feature race.
Well, I don't think Partridge is friends with Northway anymore because he's gone. And Partridge is going to be under a lot of pressure. Vanderdrift and Hartley are going to arrive with a whole head of steam on this final lap. The white flag flies in Michigan. Here comes Hartley to the inside of Vanderdrift. Partridge has a gap that no longer exists. Vanderdrift slots back into 3rd, but he's got big momentum. A double slipstream pulls to the inside. He's got the toe from Partridge in front. He goes by Hartley. This is for the win on the final lap in Michigan. To the outside comes Chris Vanderdrift. Side by side at a turn number 4. Has he got enough momentum? They're bobbing and weaving to the line. Here they come. Partridge down low. Vanderdrift got him by 11 thousandths of a second.
What a finish. Fabulous stuff. And they played the perfect game, the strategy game, didn't they?
They certainly worked as a team, and they got there. Chris Vanderdrift taking the win from Partridge, who had led the tail end of the race. Brendan Hartley coming home in 3rd place from Shane O'Connor. Shane Van Gisbergen making his way all up into 5th position from Matt Stevens. Liam Lawson, Taylor Cockerton in 8th from Ben Drever. And Earl Bamber coming home in 10th place. Just in behind them, Marco Gultrap.
0.012. That's all it was at the line. Vanderdrift gets it. Brilliant night of racing, and we've still got one more week to go of Racing Local. Jump on the Facebook page, let us know the categories and the tracks you think you might like us to tackle next week, providing they're available on iRacing. No doubt they'll consider it.
That's the replay of the margin at the line. That was incredibly close. You've got to feel sorry for poor Partridge though. He led, he looked comfortable for so long, then Northway dropped and suddenly he had nothing to defend with.
Oh, look at Chris Vanderdrift right at this point here. Comes in, he grabs the toe as they lead into the final turn. Looks up the top. You can see Hartley trying to get on there. He goes away, and it is side by side as they fire down, and they come up to cross the line. And it was almost a dead heat again. But Chris Vanderdrift would take the win, clinching it in the final meter between himself and Brendan Partridge. Of course, all of the second race of the night brought to you by All Ports Gaming. Big thank you to All Ports for getting in there as the boys start to hook O's and scorch the bags to celebrate Racing Local, with a huge thanks to Giltrap Group, SOS Business, Toyco.co.nz, Cream Insurance, Gary Douglas Limited, Wade Collision Repairs, Toyota Gazoo, Racing New Zealand, Red Bull, Garage 16, JWL Investments for the trucks, and of course, All Ports Gaming, looking after the Indy cars tonight. Ryan, Rusty, what an event we've seen in front of us.
Most certainly. Let's have a look at our race results then at the end of our Michigan race. And it was Vanderdrift with a margin of almost nothing at the line, back to Partridge and Hartley and Shane O'Connor in 4th. Van Gisbergen came home in 5th despite being involved in incidents, being the first car a lap down. Matt Stevens, Liam Lawson, Taylor Cochran, Ben DeWeaver, and Earl Bamber were your top 10. All of those drivers had an incident at some point on this one.
Great job by Van Gisbergen. Okay, in terms of how far back he was relative to the winners, that's not Shane, but just consistency right across this series. Doesn't matter what kind of car he gets in. We know what a great sim racer he is. And a few things unfolded in this one tonight, but again, he was there to pick up a top 5 result. So brilliant performance by two very accomplished racers who drove the perfect strategic play in Vanderdrift and Brendan Hartley, and they end up in the top 3, the pair of them. I thought the formats tonight, guys, and the venues we went to were very good.
Hey, let's have a chat to Brendan Hartley and to Chris Vanderdrift, who worked together beautifully to secure a win for Chris Vanderdrift, but Hartley's got to be feeling a little bit hurt by that, home in third.
Mate, that was awesome. No, I'm stoked. I'm stoked for Chris. We were actually on the comms together in the background, trying to work together, figuring out the best way. I mean, we've neither of us has done it oval before, but we kind of figured it out, chasing down Brendan Party, as we call him. It was great fun. I mean, I had awesome fun in the off-road pro trucks as well. I got taken out in the feature, but I actually enjoyed watching on TV. I hope everyone enjoyed watching it as much as we had fun. But yeah, congrats to Chris. That was awesome.
Yeah,
Brendan,
cheers,
well
Brendan.
done. Keep going there, Chris.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, yeah, cheers, Brendan, man. That was pretty good work. And we're sort of one lap, one corner, one straight me, one straight Brendan. And we started hauling ass there pretty much. And we were just catching up. And I think when we saw we had about 2.5 seconds to catch up to Brendan Partridge. And there we just sort of reeled him in right to the very last lap. So, man, what a close finish.
Boys, it's Rusty here. Question to both of you. How much of it was a pre-game plan and how much of it was the chat during the race that got you into those respective positions at the very end? It was well played.
From my side, like the first lap was pretty messy. Some of the guys at the front were stopping and starting, and I think I was last after the first lap, but I knew that there was going to be at least one safety car, and we both tried to keep it clean. What was funny though is when we started working together at the end, we got it wrong a few times. Like a few times, I tried to pass on the outside, and we quickly figured out that wasn't the way to go. So it was quite fun to learn on the fly and learn a new skill. You know, it was really cool.
Hey, Steve here. Look, teamwork makes the dream work, gentlemen. Chris, your first win in the Racing Local Series. It's got to be a good feeling for you.
Yeah, I've had some pretty rough luck till now, and not even getting into the main event at some of the other races. So good to finally do this, and I think it helped with Brendan as well. We could chat a little bit during the race and go low, go high, or sometimes you can't see the cars beside you. So just having that was quite cool and working in there. And yeah, especially to win the first race here, and especially for our local business I'm supporting, which is Ty and Kai on Remu, which is a local Hamilton business. They are really, really good.
All right, well, thank you guys so much for joining us and putting on one heck of a show towards the end of that event. Thank you so much for putting on Racing Local as well. Still 1 more week left to go. We've raised over $24,000 heading in to this week. I'm sure we'll find out soon how much we've put together today. But thank you for joining us, and we'll have a chat to you next time.
Yeah, just a massive thanks to all the drivers that took part as well, and all the people watching and donating. It's been fun to get the whole motorsport community together, but also raise money for those local businesses. And yeah, we're having fun, but happy that we're doing it for a good cause. So cheers to everyone.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Well done to you both. You've done a great job, and we're looking forward to that final week of action. Who knows where we'll go and what cars we'll be competing in.
Well, let's have a chat to Brendan Partridge. You led for so much of that. You had great help from Robert Northway, and then he just dropped off, and you had nothing to defend with. You got to be happy with that, though. It was a great showing.
Oh, I'm absolutely stoked to be here with these big names, just a night-to-night sim races. So, to be there at the end with Chris and Brendan was absolutely awesome. But yeah, a bit of help with Robert from the back marker, but it was good. He sort of kept me up to pace a little bit, but not quite enough. Those boys are fast behind.
Brendan, well done. I mean, it was just a fabulous night of racing. What's it like when you're in the pack like that and it's getting pretty stressful?
Oh yeah, the heart was beating 100 miles an hour. Yeah, I was deep in the pack after that yellow, which was a bit of a shame. I was sort of up in the top 5. I don't know what happened there, but yeah, ended up back in about 11th. Managed to pick my way through one by one and sort of got back up to the front, which I was stoked with, and missed the big one, as they say.
Well, certainly spectacular racing out there. Brendan, it's Steve here. Look, were you racing with anybody in your ear tonight? I know that both Hartley and Vanderdrift were teaming up and chatting away with each other to try and get onto the tail of you when you were going through. Yourself, did you have a spotter?
No spotter. Sort of working by myself. Formed a bit of a team for Slick Burgers, the business I'm supporting this week. That was the delivery that I've run on both my cars, and since I've been running in this charity event. So yeah, we teamed up with Cameron Freeman this week, but unfortunately wasn't quite up there enough to be working as a drafting buddy with me. So I sort of left a bit out hanging. But all in good fun, and then to raise funds for these people is awesome.
Well, congratulations, mate. You led for so much of the way, but as you said, some amazing drivers to be around, with Chris Vanderdrift taking the win and Brendan Hartley coming home behind you. Congratulations, Brendan. And I think we'll move on to Christian Hermanson next.
Indeed, let's have a chat to Christian Hermanson about his day out there in the Indy car. Where'd you finish?
I don't actually know. Yeah, I got a penalty, and I sort of didn't have the foresight to. I didn't realize I was an admin of the server. I could have just cleared it myself. But you know what they say: when it's your show, you do what you want, right? But I probably should have just cleared it and carried on. But no, I'm a little bit too honest, so I ended up coming down pit road, lost the tow, then. Just decided to call it a day, and I actually ended up helping to run the race and race control. So went from driver to race control there, but sort of seems like we peaked in the truck race.
Christian, Rusty here. In the real world, mini sprints are your game, but this is Michigan tonight, Indy cars. What did you think of the whole experience? And some great pack racing, wasn't there? It was a bit daunting probably at times.
Yeah, well, once I switched to race control, I ended up having to watch sort of the front battle there when it was 4, 3, and 4 wide, and it was just wild. But hopefully all the drivers put on a good show for the fans tonight. I just jumped on the Give a Little page before, and we're up to $25,587. So. We had a few more donations roll in tonight off the live stream. So, I guess I just wanted to jump on and say thank you very much to everyone who watched tonight. We hope you enjoyed the show. Hope you're back for next week. And thank you so much for donating to these local businesses.
Look, Kermo, Steve here, mate. It's just bumped up by another $20 or so. 25,000. We're trying to get there to 50,000. A huge number of people out there enjoying what you and so many other people have tried to make in the form of iRacing during COVID times.
Yeah. I mean, that race there in the IndyCar just really capped it off. I was in the Discord channel with Brendan and Chris right at the end there, and we're all absolutely going for it, yelling and screaming and carrying on. So it got pretty intense towards the end there, but stoked for Chris. That's fantastic. It's I think after last week we had our little Zoom party after round 2, and all of us sort of sat there thinking, geez, we just finished 33rd, 35th, and 36th in our own bloody series. We need to get our act together and all that sort of thing. So I managed to bring it home 5th in the trucks, and then the boys got a 1-2, I think, at the end there, or a 1-3 at the end. So we're finally starting to come to the party. We did a little bit less admin this week, and we probably got a little bit more time in the seat, and came to the front of the field. So. But like I said, just thank you very much for all the support tonight on the live stream, and thank you to you guys too. You guys are the unsung heroes putting on the coverage. So thanks very much to you guys.
Christian, thank you. We're having a ball. Just before you go, can you tempt us with what we might be doing next week, the final week of Racing Local, in terms of categories and venues, or you can't say just yet?
I can't say just yet, but let's just say we're going to go out with a bang. And week 4, and as you said before, we want to get to that 50,000. So it's going to have to be a big week. We're going to have to probably get a few more sponsors on board and get a few more donations through the Give a Little. So we want to get to that 50,000, so we're going to have to put on a hell of an event. So yeah, we'll just wait and see. Keep an eye on the Facebook page for what's coming up this week.
We're looking forward to it. Well done.
Thanks, guys.
So as we reach the end of our interviews, we reached the end of our broadcast, Rusty and Steve. It was quite an event, wasn't it? First at Wild West in the Pro 4s, and then to Michigan in the Indy cars. We saw massive rollovers in both. Someone suggested during the Wild West race we needed an award for best rollover. I'm awarding that to Andre Heimgartner for doing a perfect barrel roll over another competitor in the Indy car.
Ryan, talk to me. Some of my standouts, Mad Mike in that first race, Mad Mike Woodette in the Red Bull Trophy truck. He was cool. What about you guys? Who did you watch tonight and go, wow?
Boys, I think Mad Mike was the way he threw that trophy truck around was spectacular to watch. But then to see him up front for a little while in the IndyCar was tremendous as well. I'm a big fan of the consistency we've seen throughout this 3 of 4 weeks so far in Racing Local. Another good, solid evening from Shane Van Gisbergen and Liam Lawson along the way. I can't wait to see what's on offer for the final week.
Yeah, I agree. Winnett did a fantastic job out there, and I can't wait for week 4 at 7 p.m. New Zealand time. Next week is when we go live for that, plus the highlights on CRC Motorsport on Sunday. Thank you to Gilshut Group, SOS Business, and all our other sponsors who made this possible, as well as everyone who helps organise Racing Local. And thank you to the companies and and Juna Londe who provide the software, the hardware, and the music for our broadcast. You can see the screen, how you can get a hold of them. If you want to find out more about GSRC, including our upcoming races, you can find it at our website at globalsimracingchannel.com, or you can check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global SimRacing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. Don't forget to hit subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Make sure you like the Racing Local Facebook page as well to catch plenty more iRacing and iRacing Local action. Some of the upcoming races for other events are on your screen there. But from myself, Ryan Jones, from Greg Russ alongside me, and Steve Daniel, as well as Sean Ambrose behind the booth, thank you so much for tuning in. Race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.